Welcome to the 6th episode of Force Powers Explained. Today, we shall be looking at the more hidden abilities that can be used for the purpose of stealth. Since time immemorial, we've seen many fictional characters become famous for their talents with stealth, and their ability to remain undetected. Some achieve this through sheer skill, while others employ their unique powers to their advantage. Within Star Wars, there are often times when an indirect approach is required to achieve one's goal, and so with the proper training, a Force user may employ the Force for such a purpose. Of course, many Force abilities can be adopted for a use of stealth, so we will only be going over the ones that are more often than not intended for these needs. The most commonly known power for these purposes is often referred to as Force Cloak, yet it has more notable names in the Jedi path. When Jedi initiates first begin to strengthen their connection to the Force, they are required to undergo 5 daily meditations. During these meditations, they can practice a self-directed ability to increase their own personal focus on the Force. This is entitled as Alt Support. Eventually, this can lead to learning to merge with the Force itself, and this will result in them becoming almost entirely invisible to other beings. A similar, though more advanced application is named as Art of the Small. This too melds a Jedi with the Force, but in turn, it leads to the user's Force presence becoming shrunk, sometimes to the size of but a single atom. The Jedi path further explains the ability's great potential for stealth, but it also makes note of how those who use it gain an enhanced perception of the world around them. When in this state, a Force user can literally see the universe on a molecular scale. It's been noted that Jedi can use this increased perception to allow them to wield telekinesis to eliminate toxins, cure some ailments, and even rebuild cells by constructing healthy proteins. And all this is included with the baseline ability to traverse environments and remain undetected by another Force wielder's senses. The Jedi Spymaster Thom was considered by his former apprentice Quinlan Vos to be so skilled with the ability that he could only be found if he wanted to be found. Of course, sometimes the user may be detected if their skills require further enhancement, or if the surrounding Force user's own senses are refined enough, such as how Count Dooku was able to detect Asajj Ventress's infiltration of his tournament in the 2003 Clone Wars micro-series, despite also complementing her abilities at the same time.
Impressive. You mask your presence well. Flawless timing, perfect control. You have great skill of infiltration. My host would applaud your abilities posthumously.
One of my personal favourite examples comes from the Rule of Two novel, in which Darth Zana infiltrated the Jedi Temple, whilst also cloaking her dark presence through her sorcery by masking it with a false light side aura, allowing her to trick the Jedi into thinking she was one of their own. However, sometimes hiding your own signature with the Force isn't necessarily required, as you may only need to suppress the senses and perceptions of your enemies. As you might expect, we often refer to this as Force suppression. This has multiple uses, some of which aren't exactly stealth related, but I shall point out which are and aren't for you guys. The use against another Force user can essentially dampen their ability to call on the Force and weaken their powers. Although great for use in combat when weakening an enemy's use of telekinesis, it would also be great for applying to the target's Force senses, making them less likely to detect the caster. The most well-known practitioner of this ability being Darth Cognos, who used her abilities with suppression several times within the novel Dynasty of Evil. Against non-Force sensitives, the power can suppress the target's curiosity, or in other words, make them pay less attention. This is shown in the 4th issue of Dark Force Rising. When Luke and Mara are attempting to rescue an ally from Grand Admiral Thrawn's Star Destroyer, Luke uses the ability to allow him to go right past a group of Imperials, so he could snag a few spare uniforms from right under their noses. But what if your destination can't be reached by conventional means? Or if you need to make a quick exit? Why not just walk through the walls? Why not just vanish entirely? Well, with the proper training, you can. When we see characters in media walk through walls or phase through attacks, this is often nicknamed as becoming intangible, which of course is defined as not being able to be touched, or by not having a physical presence. The potential use for stealth with this ability is simply astonishing. It's easy to see how well this can work for infiltration. This power is often seen as one of the signature powers of the Dark Woman on Yukiro. As I'm sure most of you know, teleportation is to transport matter through space and time without traversing the physical plane. While there are other powers that can be used to teleport people and objects, such as fold space and the highest levels of Force Storm, the regular teleportation is to be used on the caster. The potential use for this is obvious, whether it is used to avoid an attack or for a quick getaway, demonstrations that have been shown by Darth Jadus and Mother Talzin respectively. Now of course there are many powers that can be used stealthily, such as some subtle uses of telekinesis and telepathy. And some of the aforementioned powers do have the ability to be used for other means, even in live combat. Yet their mentioning here is intended to show those powers that are arguably of the greatest benefit when applied in a stealth role. As I've said within all my previous Force ability videos, the success you can achieve from these abilities comes from practice and refinement of their use, and the overall power level of the user themselves. Some notable practitioners of these incredible forms of Force-based stealth include the Jedi Spymaster Thorm, the Minister of Intelligence Darth Jadus, the Jedi Double Agent Quinlan Vos, Dooku's former assassin Asajj Ventress, and the ever-mysterious Dark Woman on Yukiro. Thank you as always, ladies and gents, for joining me in our exploration of Force powers. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And be sure to join me next time when we'll be taking a look at Shatterpoint. Until then, goodbye, and may the Force be with you.